ons huis. En die mense wat ons nou gehelp het.
The intense weather system that began on Saturday has brought major flooding and chaos to Cape Town, South Africa. This is far beyond just a standard rain shower, as the downpours and strong winds have uprooted trees, caused flooding in informal and formal settlements, left roads submerged, and resulted in widespread power outages across the Western Cape. During a recent briefing, Anton Predels, the local government environmental affairs and development planning MEC, provided an update on the dire situation. Tragically, one person was swept away in the raging floodwaters at the treacherous Persevier River. Part of the road near a bridge was literally washed away, along with a car that was on it. Unbelievably, there were 2 people trapped in that car, and rescuers were able to save one, but the other individual is still missing, and prospects of finding them alive are not good. Additionally, 2 more people were reported missing in Viljersdorp, and search and rescue efforts are underway in a race against time to locate them. Predels expressed tremendous concern regarding the extensive road closures occurring throughout the region. Disaster management teams are on high alert and will have an enormous task ahead once the storm passes and damage assessments begin. The next 12 hours are expected to be extremely difficult for emergency responders and the community.
Main road. This is the water.
In terms of weather warnings, the South African Weather Service had issued an urgent level 9 warning, indicating the most serious and dangerous conditions. This early alert signaled that the impending weather system was likely to wreak havoc. Unfortunately, the heavy rains and powerful winds did not spare Cape Town and the region. Charlotte Powell, the head of the City of Cape Town's Disaster Management Office, shared reports of some of the damage. Emergency services personnel had to rescue 4 people trapped in a house in Strand during the storm. That must have been an incredibly frightening situation for the residents. Additionally, the intense winds literally blew the roof off a building in the central business district of the city. Another home in Hout Bay also sustained roof damage from the winds. There is extensive storm-related destruction. Charlotte Powell, spokesperson for the City of Cape Town Disaster Management Office, shared some helpful safety tips for residents. Clearing drainage systems, elevating structures above ground level, creating sandbags and digging trenches to divert water flow can all make a big difference. She also advised that any blocked drains or illegal dumping should be reported immediately, emphasizing that working together as a community is critical. Regarding electricity, the city is experiencing high call volumes related to storm damage and outages. Sometimes there are extended wait times of up to 10 minutes on the phone lines. Restoring power after infrastructure is damaged takes significant time and effort. The teams are working hard to help as quickly as possible, but it is an uphill battle. In summary, Cape Town is currently facing a monumental flooding crisis with major damage throughout the city and surrounding region. The overflowing dams, flash floods, and powerful winds have caused extensive destruction. We will continue providing updates as this situation develops. Please subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed. Our thoughts go out to the people of Cape Town during this extremely challenging time. Safety should be everyone's top consideration. Now let's take a closer look at how this intense weather system developed and some of the factors that made Cape Town so vulnerable. The origins of the flooding trace back to an area of low pressure that tapped into tropical moisture while moving over the Western Cape. This essentially acted as a moisture pipeline, allowing tremendous amounts of water vapor to converge and then rapidly condense into heavy rainfall. Adding to the dangerous weather dynamics was the presence of an upper-level trough over southern Africa and a surface trough between Cape Town and Port Elizabeth. These features helped enhance lift in the atmosphere, further squeezing out excessive rains. At the same time, the steep coastal topography near Cape Town played a role in squeezing out more downpours through orographic lifting processes. So in essence, you had a deeply moisture-rich air mass running into rising terrain, with larger-scale meteorological features further adding lift. It was the perfect recipe for extreme rains and flooding. Once the heavy rainfall began saturating the ground, it set the stage for devastating flash floods and mudslides within the mountainous terrain. This is because the sopping wet soil was unable to absorb additional moisture. Instead, an incredible amount of runoff led to rapid water accumulation in streams and drainage basins. The worst hit areas were along the slopes of the Cape Fold Belt Mountains, where rivers and tributaries descended into populated valleys and coastal communities. Areas such as Hermanus, Rivière Sunderland, and Genadendel experienced some of the most intense flooding damage. Tragically, it is in areas like informal settlements built near the flood-prone lower slopes of mountains and hills where many lives are lost. These communities often do not have adequate drainage and are comprised of simple structures that are highly vulnerable. But the destructive impacts reached well beyond just informal settlements to cause havoc across Cape Town and surrounding towns. No area was spared from power outages during the height of the storm. Roads became impassable from floodwaters, and entire bridges and sections of pavement were washed away, cutting off towns and making damages assessments exceedingly difficult. Landslides added to the nightmare as slopes that had been saturated and destabilized broke loose, sometimes destroying hillside homes and making roads impassable. Emergency responders found themselves scrambling to keep up with calls for assistance as resources were stretched thin. Some of the most dramatic videos showed massive sinkholes opening up on roadways as raging floodwaters compromised the ground beneath. In other cases, downpours were so intense that storm drains simply could not handle the water volume, causing urban flooding to inundate cars and businesses. Authorities believe well over 300 mm of rain fell across areas of the Cape Town region within 48 hours. These staggering totals overwhelmed the ability of the land to absorb the water. Adding to the flood risk was the fact that dams were already near full capacity at the start of the year's rainy season. So, as rivers and streams rapidly swelled, this water had nowhere to go but straight into communities built within flood zones.